Hi, boys and girls.
Hi, boys and girls.
Hi, boys and girls. I never go anywhere without my leaves.
Hey, boys and girls. Hi, boys and girls.
Hola, amigos.
Hey, boys and girls.
Hi, boys and girls.
Hey, boys and girls of all ages. Yes, you have found Pastor Andy on the porch once again. And yes, I am excited to be giving you or delivering or sending you another rocking chair moment. But you will notice that I'm not sitting in the rocking chair. No, I'm standing behind the rocking chair. Why? Well, I want to illustrate, I want to teach, I want to show you and maybe help us understand that we don't always know who's going to be in certain positions. You don't know if Pastor Andy is going to be sitting in this rocking chair from week to week. I don't even know. There may be somebody new that sits in this rocking chair. You know who does know though? God. You see, God knows everything and He controls all the events and different situations here on earth. We use words like sovereignty and His providence. And that just means that He's in control and He puts people in different positions for certain times to accomplish His perfect will, to get His job done that He wants to complete here on earth. And so you never know who's going to be sitting in this rocking chair, right? But I'm standing behind the rocking chair and I have a question for you today. Do you like fairy tales? I know. You never saw that coming. But fairy tales are so cool. I love fairy tales. I love watching them with my family, and I've done a lot of watching over the years. I never forget being introduced to Aurora from Sleeping Beauty for the very first time. And boy, when I met Belle from Beauty and the Beast, my life was forever changed. Perhaps you remember Cinderella and Snow White. Or maybe some of the newer fairy tales like Queen Elsa and Princess Anna from Frozen. Do you like her? Which one? Well, you may have added others, and tell me who you like. Oh, good. I can't hear you, but I'm glad you're sharing. But also, do you remember from fairy tale to fairy tale, there's something similar that happens in each one. Kind of at the end, after you get introduced to the evil villain that tries to destroy everything seems to work out at the end, and then you hear the words, and they lived happily ever after. Isn't that so sweet? But you know what? Life is not a fairy tale, is it? There's a lot of unexpected twists and turns. We've learned that a lot in 2020, haven't we? There's been a lot of unexpected twists and turns. And so as we come into our new Bible study that we're going to have over the next few weeks, we're going to be introduced to a beautiful young orphan girl who, guess what? She enters into a beauty contest and she wins. Yeah, she wins and she becomes queen. You know her? Yeah, I'm talking about Hadassah. You know Hadassah, right? It means myrtle, M-Y-R-T-L-E, like Myrtle Beach, Hadassah. Well, I'm sorry, I'm just playing with you, but that's her Hebrew name. You'd be more familiar with her name, Queen Esther. And Queen Esther is going to save the day. She's going to save her people because she is brave and courageous. Well, boys and girls, are you ready to learn more about Hadassah? Queen Esther? I hope so. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to learn a lot about God as we study Esther. See you later.
Well, hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to our Bible study and our little lesson here. I'm going to start off by reading a verse, and it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not rely on your own understanding. In all your ways, know Him, and He will make your path straight." That's found in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Now, what's important about that is that this verse, even though it's not found in the Bible lesson that we're going to read today, it helps us view the Bible lesson that we're going to cover today. So today we're going to be talking about Esther. Now, Esther is a book in the Bible. You all remember this? This is a Bible. It's a book in the Old Testament, and it gives us a story of Queen Esther. She wasn't a queen, so what we're gonna look at today is how she became queen. What happened what God did to make her the queen. So, first of all, we're gonna talk about King Xerxes. King Xerxes had a queen whose name was Vashti. Now, in the eyes of King Xerxes, Queen Vashti did something wrong. Now, Queen Vashti thought she was in the right, and she disobeyed the king. Which, that's not always a good thing, but she had her reasons. So, at the time that she disobeyed the king had the right to remove her from her position. Now, God used that for his purpose. He started to use this negative situation for Vashti to use it as a positive situation for Queen Esther, to the soon-to-be Queen Esther. Now, Queen Esther wasn't always a queen. In fact, she didn't have parents. She was an orphan. So, because she was an orphan, she had to live with her uncle. And his name is Mordecai. Or at least according to the story, we see his name Mordecai. And he helped mentor her, and he was like a father to her. So now, when all of these things are happening simultaneously, where the king is removing the queen, the uncle Mordecai saw an opportunity. They were looking for women from all over the area where the king ruled. And what happened was that they were going to run an ancient times beauty pageant to help find the new queen. So as they were finding the new queen, they gathered up as many beautiful women as they could, and Mordecai encouraged Esther to take part. Now, it was a little bit odd for a Jewish woman to take part in something that wasn't from her culture. It wasn't from her family. It was actually something totally different because she was living in a different area that was outside of where she belonged. Her parents had left the Jerusalem, the Israel area, and they were living in a totally different area because of some additionally bad things that had happened. So there was a little pocket of Jewish people that were living outside of the main area. And therefore, it was awkward that a Jewish woman was going to come in to serve a Persian king and try to be a queen. So what ended up happening was actually God's hand throughout the whole thing. Because there was once the helpers met Esther, they saw the beauty that she had. They saw that there was something different about her. And in that, not only did they see that there was something different, but they saw that she was obedient. She was obedient to what the king what the king would require from a queen in order for her to be a successful queen. And it sounds very wordy, but it sounds like she was very obedient and she did what she was supposed to do to become a queen. Now, what we see here is that she did a lot of preparation to prepare her body, but she also kind of prepared her mind because she knew that as a Jewish woman, it was going to be something different for her to become a queen. And added to that, she wasn't going to be a queen to her people. She was going to be a queen to a totally different people, a totally different culture. And she was going to be okay with that because she saw God's hand working through that situation. So finally, when her time came to be with the king and for her to meet with the king, something even more special happened because God gave her favor in front of the king. So what that means is that the king liked her, and it was God's doing because she was totally different. She had a different culture, but she adapted to the culture that she needed to become queen. And finally, what we see here is we see that she made it. She beat out all the other females, and she became a queen. Now, it doesn't always end very well, but this is a very different story because there was a purpose in her becoming a queen. And we'll see that next week. Thank you.
Welcome back. Did you get a chance to see some of our friends sitting in this rocking chair? I really appreciate their help. You know, not everyone was able to say hi, but they all wish you well. And how about that Esther? She's on quite the adventure, isn't she? It sure is not a fairy tale. I imagine she's a little bit nervous. I imagine at that time in her life, fear was creeping in because there was a lot of changes. She went from being an orphan to a queen. Wow, that could be a little bit overwhelming. But at the end of her life, I believe she had a better perspective of God's sovereignty and His providence. I believe, and I think all Christians should believe, that God is sovereignly in control of all our lives. Not only in Esther's life or the people that we study in the Bible, He's still in control of all of our lives today even. And that nothing occurs that does not pass through His hands. You see, He permits those things or He directs those things, and He is ultimately pleased because those things are for His glory and for our good. Even though sometimes they don't make sense, or sometimes we wouldn't have chosen those things for ourselves. I imagine today you think that it's easy to begin, I guess, to think you're in charge, right? I'm in charge. I'm in control. Mom and Dad, you think you're in control? You're in charge? Grandma, Grandpa, are you in charge? Children, do you think you're in charge? Well, you know, King Xerxes, he thought he was in charge. And I tell you, I can imagine his eyes were opened up pretty wide at the end of his life as well. So as I conclude with you today, I want to go to the King of Kings and I want to hear from him today. And I've got a special verse from Romans chapter 11 that really speak into God's sovereignty and how we can trust Him and how He knows what's best for us. It says here in verse 33 of chapter 11, the book of Romans, "Oh, the depth of the riches of the wisdom and knowledge of God! How unsearchable His judgments and His paths beyond tracing out! Who has known the mind of the Lord? Or who has been His counselor? Who has ever given to God that God should repay them? For from Him and through Him and for Him all are all things, to Him be the glory forever. Amen." Children, today as well as back then, there is a divine plan unfolding, an arrangement of things occurring that if we could see them now, it would take our breath away. When you come to the end of your life, you're going to have a lot of surprises, and some of you may even be shocked into seeing the beauty of God's grace and love and His perfect plan for your life. We're not in charge, but the one who is one who is worthy to be worshiped and praised and followed and trusted, for He is good. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.